I'm going to talk about definition and analysis of respondent burden in web-based travel surveys. So as we know, surveys are among very typical methods to collect data in the field of transportation and mobility. And with the advancement of web technologies, online surveys have gained a lot of interest as they are able to gather data in larger scale and they are more cost effective. But still, there are a lot of challenges in this space, and it is important to increase the quality and the quantity of data gathered by online surveys. One of the most important concepts in this field is the response burden, which is referred to the level of effort required by respondents to complete a questionnaire, and is also referred to presumed hardship entailed in being a survey participant, the degree to which a survey respondent perceives participation in a survey research project as difficult, time consuming, or emotionally stressful, and also negative feelings such as annoyance, frustration, or inconvenience, which may be experienced by a survey participant. What are the impacts of increased response burden? So it will decrease data quality by increasing unit non-response, item non-response, by increasing a break-off from surveys, and also encouraging satisfying behavior such as speeding and straight lining. And also, this will increase administrative cost of the survey. So it is important to kind of understand this concept and try to measure it. The concept of burden is twofold. First is the actual burden, which depends on survey characteristics and can be measured by defining indicators which quantifies survey characteristics. And then we have perceived burden, which is a very important concept as mentioned in previous studies. The concept of burdensomeness is a subjective characteristic of the task, and it comes from the interaction from what respondents really perceive and the effort required to complete a survey. And it depends on both survey and participant characteristic. And it's important to measure it, and the way to measure it is asking some post-survey questions to capture how exactly respondents felt during the survey. And my research objectives were going to be like recognizing factors that influence response burden, and developing indicators to quantify and measure the burden, developing a model to predict the burden, response rate, and survey duration, and minimizing response rate at the end. Here we have a list of factors that influence response burden. So these are not all the factors that are important, but I just brought some very famous ones. So first of all, we have socio-demographic characteristic of the respondent, and then we have cognitive complexity of the task and survey frequency. Then it comes subject and duration of the survey, which are very important. And then visual interface and survey attractiveness, question formatting, and reputation of the provider. Here we can see a graph showing the effect of time and graphical interface on completion rate. So as seen, when the survey is estimated to take 5 minutes, more people initiate and complete this survey. More in the case that the interface wasn't plain, like plain black and white, and it was graphical. But when time goes like to 15 minutes, people are not encouraged to complete the survey. Regarding the models developed to study and measure burden, the very first one was kind of developed by Bradburn by considering four dimensions: survey duration, the amount of effort required by respondents, the amount of stress, and the frequency with which the respondent is interviewed. The second one was built kind of based on the previous study by considering three indicators to construct a burden index, namely perceived length, perceived effort, and perceived frequency. And these indicators were then implied as latent variables in a partial least square path modeling to measure a burden score. To do that, some question has been asked at the end of the survey regarding the perceived lengths, like how respondent felt about the lengths of the survey, how many members exist in the household, and then some questions regarding how interesting and how easy or difficult the survey was, and a very direct question and like asking how burdensome this survey was at the end. And the last one was in a scheme developed actually to measure burden by assigning a single score burden to each question, and then a model was proposed to estimate response rate based on the burden measured. The results show that an increase of like 100 point is associated with a drop of 6%. And this is how they kind of gave points to each question. Like, for example, a yes or no question has a point of 1, while a mixed show cards can have higher points, burden points like 6. And for our future work, we are gonna ask these post-survey question at the end of like a mobilizing justice questionnaire, which are gonna be tested on the COVID survey as well. So these are the list of questions. How do you like? Do you feel the length of the survey was too long, too short, or about right? How long do you think this survey took you to fill out? How interesting and how difficult or easy it was to you? And how burdensome was the survey to you? And also, have you ever been tempted in some point to drop the questionnaire? And if yes, at which point? Thank you so much.